What is up? What is up, YouTube? How y'all doing? Check it out without a doubt. Let's see what Jaguar Wright is talking about. Hey, we're gonna do a documentary on Jaguar. I'm talking to some people that's doing the research, and they can't seem to start it off. And I'm gonna surprise Jaguar because Uncle Mike is going to do a documentary. It's going to be 20 videos to walk through this whole thing. You know what I'm saying? So y'all be looking out for that. Right now we're doing the Alley Carter. We're doing the Alley Carter walkthrough from the rooter to the tutor, baby. And by the time y'all see this video, part one will be up already because it's done already. Uncle Mike already did part one. So we're using some different techniques, man. So y'all roll with a brother a little bit while I work out the bugs. You know, you can't, when you first come up the bat, you swinging the bat, the first time you swing, you might miss. You might chip the ball. But the first time you swing, I doubt it. You don't hit a home run. You don't hit a home run. You got to get the bugs out and everything and get used to this game. Then you start hitting home runs. So you got to embrace being bad or whatever. Plus, I'm working on something else. Anyway, y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. How y'all doing? Y'all doing all right? Is y'all doing all right? Because Uncle Mike doing great. Y'all hit that subscribe button, man. Hit that bell. Let's check this bad boy. Yeah. Jaguar Wright. Hey, I got on my World's Largest Rap Contest shirt. My Jaguar Wright shirt back there, so I don't feel like getting it. So let's check it out.
Jaguar Wright warned us.
Beyonce's internet.
That's what we're calling
That
it.
belongs to the devil. Unless you calling that the devil, she ain't nothing but an employee.
Long before people started side-eyeing Beyonce and Jay-Z, Jaguar was already speaking. She called them out by name. She talked about the rituals, the manipulation, the things artists weren't supposed to say.
She was hypnotized. Beyonce came and she was in there eating on her while she was asleep. Snacking on his big people cats.
Most people brushed her off, called her bitter, laughed it away. But now, a lot of what she said is starting to check out. She wasn't the only one either. Beyonce's own drummer, Kimberly Thompson, filed a restraining order and claimed she was under spiritual attack.
We're talking about other situations where changing into animals and jumping into other bodies and all kinds of really crazy stuff.
Then there's Solange, Beyonce's own sister. She never said a word publicly. She didn't need to, because she swung in an elevator and then vanished. And once you start connecting the dots between what Jaguar said, what Kimberly lived through, and the growing pile of disturbing claims surrounding that inner circle, Solange's silence doesn't feel like distance. It feels like fear. And the more you look back at that elevator moment, the more it looks like the last time anyone tried to fight back. The footage was grainy, but the story was loud. It was May 2014, and the Standard Hotel in New York had just hosted a Met Gala after party. Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Solange stepped into an elevator, and what happened next had the whole industry frozen. In a clip obtained by TMZ, Solange erupted. She screamed at Jay-Z, then started swinging. She threw punches, kicked, slammed him with her purse so hard that its contents scattered across the floor. A bodyguard tried to hold her back, but she kept charging. Jay never raised a hand to retaliate, and Beyonce stood off to the side, completely silent, just watching.
The biggest story around the world seems to be Jay-Z being attacked in the elevator by Beyonce's sister Solange. It's leading on all the newscasts. Of course, it's a hot topic here, but it's amazing how the world has let go of everything else important and is talking about this.
Even the bodyguard seemed to know what was happening needed to be contained. He hit the emergency stop button midway through the assault, reportedly to keep it from going public. But it was too late. Once the video surfaced, it exploded. At the time, the explanation was that Solange was angry over Jay-Z cheating on Beyoncé. People assumed it was about Becky with the good hair, a line Beyoncé later made famous in her Lemonade album. But that surface-level narrative doesn't hold up anymore. Because think about it. If Solange was so furious on Beyoncé's behalf, if she was willing to physically assault Jay-Z in defense of her sister, then why isn't she around anymore? Where's the closeness now? She and Beyoncé no longer appear together in public. She wasn't on the Renaissance tour. She's not included in family photos. She hasn't even been spotted with Blue Ivy, Rumi, or Sir. Not once. For years. And when Beyoncé gave her Grammy acceptance speech for Renaissance, thanking her uncle, her husband, and her kids, Solange wasn't mentioned. Which raises the question, what actually happened in that elevator? What did Solange know? And why has she stayed silent for nearly a decade? Because the deeper you go into this story, from the silence to the body language to the sudden public distance, the more that elevator fight looks like a last attempt to speak out, maybe even a warning that got ignored. And if Solange tried to stand up back then, but saw how quickly the machine shut her out, it explains why she hasn't said a word since. She's not defending Beyoncé anymore. She's staying far away. And that silence might be saying more than words ever could. That elevator didn't just change how people saw Jay-Z. It changed how people started looking at the whole Knowles Carter brand. Solange wasn't just attacking her brother-in-law, she was making a statement, one the public still hasn't fully unpacked. Because if that outburst was truly about cheating, like most people assumed at the time, why would she vanish so completely from their lives afterward? Why go silent? Why stay away from her sister's kids, shows, award speeches, and album campaigns? That kind of distance usually means one thing. Somebody saw something they weren't supposed to see and didn't want to be part of it anymore. Fast forward almost a decade, and the silence around that incident suddenly feels like a pattern. Because Beyoncé is now facing her own moment of truth, and she's choosing silence too. As Diddy's entire world falls apart under federal investigation, with lawsuits, survivor testimonies, and court-documented stacking up against him, Beyoncé hasn't said a word. Nothing. Not a post, not a press release, not a single acknowledgement that something's happening, and people are noticing.
If Beyonce is really for women's rights, then why she ain't speak out for none of the women who were a victim of Diddy? Make it make sense behalf.
That clip hit different because it came from the same crowd that's always defended her. The Bayhive. These aren't random trolls. These are longtime fans asking why their so-called queen of feminism is quiet when it really counts. Beyoncé built her image on female empowerment. Remember the 2014 VMAs? She stood in front of a massive glowing feminist sign. She's featured speeches from women's rights activists in her music. She's headlined campaigns for black girls, working mothers, and female creatives. But where is that voice now? When black women, Cassie, Jane Doe 1, 2, 3, are naming one of her closest industry friends as their abuser, let's be clear, Beyoncé and Diddy aren't strangers. They've been tied together for decades. Joint performances, shared stages, exclusive invite-only events. Even their business ventures crossed paths, including Roc Nation's long-standing relationship with Revolt, Bad Boy Records, and Live Nation. Beyoncé has been a guest of honor at Diddy's events. Jay-Z helped build the empire Diddy thrived in. This isn't some distant acquaintance, they're connected, deeply. So her silence isn't just disappointing, it's strategic. It protects the brand, the legacy, the billion-dollar image. Jay-Z is just as silent. No statements, no press conferences. And yet, his fingerprints are all over the machine that let Diddy rise and operate untouched for years. Jay and Diddy moved in lockstep. They helped define black excellence in hip-hop. Expensive suits, corporate takeovers, champagne ads, and Super Bowl seats. But behind the scenes, the same culture of silence and protection that kept Diddy safe is what's now keeping Beyoncé quiet. And that takes us back to Solange. Maybe she realized it earlier than anyone else. Maybe she saw the way power works and didn't want to be complicit. Her stepping away wasn't just personal, it was survival. She didn't want to get sucked into the same silence. Because when you're inside that circle, the rules are clear. You don't speak out. You don't call people out. You don't challenge the image. And if you do, like Solange did for a split second in that elevator, they freeze you out. So she left, not because she didn't love her sister, but because she couldn't stand what her sister was standing next to. If Solange saw something behind the scenes that made her walk away, Kimberly Thompson might have been one of the first people to say it out loud. Kimberly wasn't some bitter outsider. She was Beyoncé's drummer. For 7 years, she toured with her, rehearsed with her, and worked directly under her control. She was part of Beyoncé's elite all-female band, the same one that helped shape her girl power image across the globe. But in 2018, Kimberly came forward with accusations that shattered that image entirely. She didn't just leave quietly, she filed for a restraining order. According to court documents obtained by The Blast, Kimberly accused Beyoncé of using what she called extreme witchcraft, dark magic, and magic spells of S-exual M to manipulate and control her. She even claimed Beyoncé had tapped her phones, unalived her kitten, and interfered with her personal finances.
It's literally shattered everything that I've tried to build after doing that work in my life. If I have always said when I was a kid, I never would want to regret anything.
Now, most people laughed it off at the time. The media treated it like a bizarre tabloid moment. The court didn't grant the restraining order, citing a lack of sufficient evidence. But the thing is, Kimberly wasn't the only one saying it. She was just the first person that close to Beyoncé to say it publicly, and it didn't come out of nowhere. In a 2016 interview, Kimberly admitted that she couldn't even change her hairstyle without getting Beyoncé's approval. She described the intense micromanagement and control Beyoncé had over every single detail of her image, and by extension, the people around her. That kind of control doesn't stop at visuals. Not in an industry where silence is bought. Careers are shaped behind closed doors, and loyalty is often demanded at a spiritual level. And then came Jaguar Wright. Jaguar had already made waves exposing the dark side of the music industry, but her comments about Beyoncé brought everything Kimberly said back into the spotlight.
She was hypnotized. Beyonce came and she was in there eating on her while she was asleep. No snacking on his people cats.
Yes, those were her words. She didn't say maybe. She didn't say allegedly. She said Beyoncé was literally involved in using witchcraft and ruining lives. Most people dismiss Jaguar as unstable. But here's the problem with that. Too many of the things she said before turned out to be true. She was one of the first to call out Diddy publicly, long before the lawsuits hit. She was the one warning about Clive Davis, about the Smith family, about what was happening behind closed doors at industry parties. And now that everything's unraveling, people are going back to her old interviews and realizing she might not have been lying after all. Suddenly, Kimberly's accusations don't sound so crazy, especially when Jaguar's telling the same story. And when Solange walked away, it wasn't just from a business deal. It was from something spiritual, something she didn't want to be tied to. And maybe she couldn't say it. Maybe she wasn't allowed to say it. But Solange is Beyoncé's sister. And if someone that close is staying that far away, that's not beef. That's fear. By now, it's not just one voice, it's a pattern. Solange backed away. Kimberly Thompson filed a restraining order. Jaguar Wright keeps dropping names. And then came Uncle Ron, Beyoncé, and Jay-Z's former bodyguard. Uncle Ron wasn't just some internet troll with a grudge. He was hired to protect the couple. He was there, behind the scenes, at the homes, at the rehearsals, at the parties fans were never supposed to hear about. So when he started talking, people listened. Let that sit for a second, because Ron wasn't speaking in riddles. He flat out said that Aaliyah's death wasn't an accident, and that Jay-Z had a romantic relationship with her before Beyoncé, one that supposedly ended when Aaliyah refused to play by the same rules Beyoncé accepted. The rumors have been floating around for years. People always question the timing of Aaliyah's death in 2001, a last-minute flight on an overloaded plane, just days after wrapping a music video. It never sat right, especially considering how fast the industry moved on.
Plane just after taking off for Florida in perfect weather suddenly plummeted to the ground. Investigators now saying one of the engines apparently failed. Along with 8 passengers, Aaliyah, a young Brooklyn native and a talented...
And now Uncle Ron's statement lines up with something fans have whispered for decades, that Aaliyah was in Jay-Z's circle, and when she didn't fall in line, she was removed. That's not just a stretch of imagination anymore. It's part of a growing list of people who've either disappeared, lost their careers, or ended up in unexplainable circumstances after getting too close to the power couple. Take Carrie Hilson. She was poised to be Beyoncé's competition. Talented, beautiful, and ready to take the spotlight. Then she dropped Turnin' Me On, a track that fans interpreted as a diss toward Beyoncé. Within months, her career was spiraling. She was blackballed, harassed by fans, and publicly humiliated. Another promising black woman in the industry silenced before she could reach her full potential, and she never directly blamed Beyoncé. But she didn't have to. The message was clear. She crossed a line. And when Jaguar Wright ties it all together, the parties, the favors, the freak-offs, the sudden deaths and fading careers, it stops sounding like conspiracy and starts sounding like evidence. Even Aaliyah's death has taken on a new weight in this conversation. The idea that Jay-Z was tied to her before Beyoncé isn't new, but when people connect it to his name being found on Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs, a man who built his empire by tea-ficking and manipulating young women, the questions get a lot darker. And Beyoncé? Still no statement, no interview, no denial, just silence. But the people speaking out, Jaguar, Kimberly, Uncle Ron, aren't fading away anymore. If anything, the more court documents get released, the more they're being taken seriously. Solange has never publicly confirmed any of this, but her absence speaks volumes. And if she ever saw what Kimberly saw, or what Ron protected, or what Jaguar's been exposing, then she may have walked away not just for peace, but for safety. Because in this industry, silence is currency, and too much truth can get you erased. Solange never gave an interview, never tweeted a cryptic message, never went on record, but she didn't have to. The silence was the message. No photo ops, no sisterly shoutouts, no press appearances with Beyoncé or Jay-Z. She didn't show up to the Renaissance tour. She didn't pose with Blue Ivy. She didn't play the game because she saw what the game really was. She saw what happened when people got too close to Beyoncé, to Jay-Z, to Diddy. She saw careers vanish, artists humiliated, drummers driven to court, songwriters blackballed, and industry insiders dropping dead or disappearing. She wasn't going to be the next one. So while the world praised her sister and brother-in-law for being power couple goals, Solange chose something different. Distance. Now we know why. Anyway, that's it for the video, folks. Bye.
Wow, that's it for the video. That's crazy, man, how you don't see no, you don't hardly see nothing about Beyonce's sister at all. I mean, what is she doing? She just chilling. She said, I gave up, I'm done. Sis, you go ahead and handle this. You know what? Beyonce probably paying her to stay out and let me do my thing. Golly, man. And y'all let me know what y'all think, man. I'm over here like, oh my goodness, I forgot all about the daggone sister and the rumble in the elevator. They was rumbling in that elevator. What did Jay-Z say to this girl? What did Jay-Z say to her to make her want to fight a man you know you can't whoop? You can't whoop no man. You ain't no daggone boxer, no karate. You are a singer. No singer. If you just a straight up singer, you singing too long, you can't whoop no man. That no real man. Men are stronger than women. Well, anyway, man, we shouldn't be talking about that. But she sure enough put her hands on him. So, daggone, Jay-Z, are you that soft? I don't know. I'm just asking, you know. I'm just asking. Look here, I'm gonna get on up out of here. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.